I got a phone call at McDonald's saying, "It's Pete Waterman for you." I was dressed like an idiot 24 hours a day. 20 grand in cash in a cupboard. You can't hum a bass drum. He was working with Rihanna the day before I got in. It looks beautiful and is beautiful. And the PVB appeared. Barney went, "You need to get that, mate." And he went, "How dare you give me something you're not happy with?" Do you know, it started with Soft Cell. I came home one night and Soft Cell was on Top of the Pops. I just went, I want to do that. And it literally started from that moment. So I started a little synth band called Face to Face. And we had a little £3 organ. I went boop, bip for drums. And actually did a concert with it, which I can't imagine what that must have sounded like. What happened then is a little bit later on, I got battered. I got my lip kicked off my face. And I got £1,500. So with the £1,500, I bought my first synthesizer, which would have been, I think the first one I bought was a JX3P, and then I got a DX9, and then I swapped it for something called a CX5M. Then I had a sequencer and a computer and an RX15. I started doing songs in my bedroom, and then there was, the next door neighbour said there's a thing in Liverpool where they're looking for songwriters and, you know, artists, as I was an artist at the time. And I went to them and they loved me, and I started working in a studio called Benson Street. In my life, I've only worked for 3 months doing something not music, so I worked in McDonald's and a nightclub. I was dressed like an idiot 24 hours a day. And someone said they'd given one of my songs to Pete Waterman, and I got a phone call at McDonald's saying, "It's Pete Waterman for you." And I kind of went, "Hello," and I thought, nah, put the phone down. And he called back and said, "No, it is me, and I like what you're doing, I want to meet you." And it was him. So I went to Manchester to meet him. 3 weeks later, then I was working for Pete Waterman. And the first session I worked on was Sybil and the Love I Lost. But that was like setting up the microphone and getting a dinner. It wasn't making anything to do with the records. The first record I played on was Slam Jam, which was a wrestling record for the WWF. The beautiful thing with Mike Stock, who's like my hero, when him and Pete split up, they called me into the studio and he gave me his computer and a sampler. And to me, that was like God had given me something, you know, because he was the man. He taught me a really valuable lesson, actually. They were doing a Bananarama album and he said, "Would you write a song for it, Mike?" So I've gone back with a cassette and I've given it to him and he's gone, "Are you happy?" And I've gone, "Well," and he went, "How dare you give me something you're not happy with? How dare you?" And I was just smashed to bits. And a couple of weeks later I went and I went, "Stocky," and threw him and he went, "It's on the album." And I went, "You haven't listened to it?" And he went, "Yeah, but now I know it's good." It was a life lesson, because he said, Are you playing at being producer?" And it was like a proper kick to go, I need to get my stuff together here. A couple of months later, I got signed to Sony Publishing. And then I met Tom Watkins, and then did E17 and Gabriel, and then it just snowballed from them. You know, finding Rachel Stevens in a cafe to do S Club 7. It really was like from nothing to everything. Because at one point I was living on the dole. It was like £32 a fortnight. I mean, it really was, you know, government grants to live in a flat and just nothing at all. And then suddenly, you know, I remember going upstairs to my bedroom and I had like 20 grand in cash in a cupboard. I'd never experienced having any money, so I didn't know what to do. So now I think I've made a great record if it's invisible. If you listen to the song and you listen to the vocalist and you enjoy everything that they're putting across to you, then the music's incidental. All it is to support them. I genuinely believe that's why going out and getting the Sontronics Mercury and your PVB vocal booth is all these things to make the job of the vocal the most beautiful thing. Everything really should be invisible. Just from my perspective, you know, there's millions of producers who probably go, "What are you talking about?" But for me, you know, and even going back to Pete Waterman and say you can't hum a bass drum. I mean, over the last probably 10 years, I've really gone to Sontronics. I discovered the Saturn, and I was just like, wow. I mean, I saw a picture of it and just thought, You know, it's like the David Beckham of microphones to me. It's, you know, Neumann's Wayne Rooney, still dead good, but this just looks and sounds dead good, but looks beautiful. I've been using a Shield for years, and I like the Shield because I was a singer in the early days. I never liked being in a vocal booth, and I like the back and forth from someone rather than going, what did you, you know, in the talk back. I always hated it. So even when I was doing Gary Barlow back in the day, I would be in the room with him because it just worked better to have that dialogue between. It wasn't like now you're on perform. It was, we're getting on with the job, you know, let's do it. But that'll be, you know, just having a conversation that we're doing now. It becomes more intimate, and I like that. A couple of years ago, I was in Westlake in LA. It's like the biggest studio in America. And I became friends with a guy called Christian Humphreys, who's an amazing engineer out there. And I'd sent him a song I'd done with Jazz, the amazing Jazz Ellington singing it. And he went, Mike, I love it. I can hear a little bit of the room. And when I went back, I could hear a little bit of the room. And it had bothered me, and it always bothered me from that comment, because he's you know, this guy's at the top of his game. You know, he was working with Rihanna the day before I got in, so you know, he knows what he's talking about. Been looking for a portable vocal booth for ages, something that I could use, that I could not have permanent, because I don't like the not being able to communicate. I got this lovely guy called Richard who came to our house and did our bathroom. He's like a designer with his dad. So I was going to have a vocal booth that came down from the ceiling, like, you know, a massive shield essentially. And we were sitting in here, and I literally put vocal booth, and the PVB appeared. And he went, wow, I'm like, look at that. And I just went, well, and he went, you need to get that, mate, because that's just it. And it looks beautiful and is beautiful. And it was literally from that conversation, you know, to like a week later it being here, when Mica was here. And that was so important for me, that she had the best experience, that the microphone was the best that I think it could possibly be, and the sound of it. And, you know, when she came in, it was just like, wow. What you hear is nothing but the microphone. And that's what I want to hear, you know. And with the Mercury, what goes in comes out. With the vocal booth, it was just this beautiful combination. I'd not experienced that before. I mean, I've been in every studio you can think of, Michael Jackson studio. I've been in places where it's top stuff. You know, if I played that vocal to anybody from any place, they go, it's really good. Mica was literally the first person. I mean, my goal was to have that here before she got here, because I felt my respect for Mica as an artist and who she is. I wanted the situation to be the best that it could possibly be. She loved it. I mean, I think she was even talking about getting one. She wasn't enclosed or felt uncomfortable. There was none of that. It was just like, this is cool. And because of the way my studio's designed, it literally looks like it was made to sit in my studio. I mean, it could have been specifically down to my order to make it to fit this room. That's how amazing it is. I've met a lovely Irish band called Sal. I went to Liverpool to meet them, and just such lovely people. And I've got such a great feeling about them. Hopefully more Mica stuff's going to be in the pipeline. We had a great time together. It was really lovely. And also my daughter, who is on tour with Little Mix. I'm doing her album to be on tour with Little Mix, because I actually personally think Little Mix are a fantastic band, an incredible vocalist. So for her to even walk on that stage is beautiful.